Running with Lions by Julian Winters, which is out today. It's a US title. It's a fantastic book. It's really good fun. It's a great read, but it's fantastically diverse, great representation across loads of different people. I really enjoyed it. So look out for that one for sure.
And that one was also currently for today half price on Kindle. So sorry guys.
It's okay, we don't have a second. We will.
And then come get your paper copy from here.
Exactly.
So, I've got two that I want to mention. One is Kerry Stainton starring Kitty, which is a really sweet teen book. I'd say it's more kind of upper middle grade, very young YA. And for me, it would have been such an amazing thing to read in year 7 or year 8 and have been like, oh, okay, so I don't have to follow my best friend stalking these guys around school all day because actually there are other options and this is really boring. Sorry, Sophie. For me, and it's just so sweet, and Keris is an amazing author. She's come out kind of later in life as by herself, and she's had an amazing journey. But for starring Kitty, it's about this young girl called Kitty, and she's got a crush on this girl called Dylan, who is kind of this scarf-toting, slightly nerdy cool girl in class, and it's really sweet. So for me, that's my little heartwarming crush book that I wish I'd had when I was like 12. And my other one is a US title which has this amazing cover. Look, rainbow spotlights. And it's a murder mystery set in a theatre with queer girls of colour. So that I'm just going to leave it as that. That's amazing. Amy Rose Capetta, she's an American author, and it's so gripping and thrilling. And it's also a really good commentary on kind of Me Too at the moment as well. So trigger warnings for that a bit if it makes you uncomfortable, but it's worth it if you want to persevere. It's really good.
And then I am going to mention a bit of a cheesy plug, but the best YA book I've read recently that I wasn't necessarily expecting to pick up is Simon's book. No, really, because I wasn't expecting to necessarily identify or, sort of be really absorbed by the book. And I read it while I was on holiday a couple of weeks ago, and I was laughing, I was crying. I was on holiday with my friends, and I couldn't put it down at the dinner table. And if you haven't read it, then do pick it up, because I thought that the way that he manages to make the most intense scenes of teenage embarrassment just so absolutely hilarious. It just really took me back to these the times in my life when these sort of social accidents just seemed like the most important thing in the world. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, that's a delightful kind of wrap up to that bit. And now we wanted to hand it over to you. We've got time for some questions. So no pressure. I don't think we're going to run a mic up, but I'll repeat whatever the question is so that everyone can hear it. So yeah, over to you guys. Oh yeah.
So we're all readers of YA. What can we do to help sort of get books out there and spread the queer YA?
So just to repeat the question, she's the lovely person here is saying that as readers of YA, what can you all do to get queer YA out there and to make it more and more accessible? Yeah.
I mean, I think word of mouth is such a powerful thing, and is probably the most important thing, really. So, I mean, simply talking about it and recommending it to other people is fantastic. If you're on social media and have Twitter or Instagram or anything like that, they're really powerful tools for spreading the word about it, and also, I mean, if you like a book and write a review on Amazon, not if you hate it, if you do like it, then popping a review on Amazon or Goodreads is again a really great way of people spotting it. So all these little things do make a massive difference. It may not seem like much to write a little tweet saying I love this book and putting a photo on, but actually it does have reach and it does make a difference, for sure.
And you'll make a publicist very happy. Yeah, so I would agree definitely. For me, the most important thing that you could do is get the word out there. So if you're a YA reader and you're in a book club, recommend it to your friends in the book club. Even if they're not queer themselves, but you could say, oh, this is a really great discussion point and I'd love it if we could talk about this. If you have a local library, request it from that library, because then they order that stock in, which is a sale for the author and the publisher, and also means that other people in that community who may not have stumbled upon it can find it themselves, especially if you're aware whether the library has a LGBT listing on their website. That is something that a lot of libraries actually now do as part of a government requirement, so have a look for that if you don't know. Again, like you said, review, Amazon, Warstones, come in and tell these guys about it, because they're here and they...
Seriously, we'll order it in. Like a likelihood. Like not a guarantee, but likely.
And the other thing I'd say is if the author is on social media, tell them what that book meant to you. For a lot of these authors, especially in writing queer YA, they're putting their hearts on their sleeve. It's really something that for a lot of them is very intensely personal. So to know that their story has had a connection for you in whatever, it doesn't have to be kind of a cry your heart out type tweet, but just to say this resonated with me, thank you, is something that will mean the world to a lot of people, especially when they're having maybe to kind of fight off stupid trolls for whatever's happening that day.
Or just having a shitty writer's block day.
Yeah,
like that happens too.
Or just they've been sat in their home kind of at the laptop going help and somebody's interacted with them, oh my god. Yeah, all of those things I think is really important. The other thing I would say is if you're part of an LGBT group, think of the top 5 books that have meant something to you, take that into your LGBT group and share it with them, get them to read it, lend out your copy, write your name in it. Just all of those things just gets the word out there in a way that publishers can only do so much. It's then kind of over to you guys, so run with it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Charlie, what's the book hashtag for Pride that you're doing on Instagram?
So I'm currently taking part in a Instagram challenge that was set up by lovely YouTuber George Lester and Simon Savage, and they are doing an Instagram challenge throughout Pride Month, which is Pride Month Reads, hashtag Pride Month Reads. So I'm tweeting or Instagramming a photo a day of their challenge list, and that's a really great way of, again, looking at your bookshelves, seeing what you've represented on your bookshelves, and if you've got a gap in them, maybe just have a Google search and say, oh okay, I've not read any books with an asexual protagonist, what's out there? There might not be lots, but there might be something that you can then discover and tell somebody else. So for me, that's the most important thing that you can do, is just follow those conversations as much as you can and take part.
And I was just going to add, because I'm assuming this is part of UCL's Culture Festival, Festival of Culture, and kind of if you're students or if you're a teacher or if you're an academic, you have the opportunity to feed back to your lecturers, to who are creating syllabus, who may not be revising the syllabus that year, but may 2 years down the line revise it. I kind of unofficially know that a short story from A Change is going to come is going to be featured on an MA course in children's literature, kind of their course that everyone has to take. And that was something I did. I was like, we need more characters of color on the syllabus. Like, here is a place to go. And so kind of advocating whether or not you yourself identify as queer, or whatever your kind of identity spectrum, but if you know of a good story or a good novel, you have the power to share that and to say, hey, you should check this out, and you never know what will come of it.
Yeah, actually, to add to what Erica's saying, so I teach in the English department at UCL. I teach a few classes, I have lots of tutorial students, and I share information about the books that I think might be of interest to my students all the time. And that one of the things they most regularly say to me is, why aren't there more diverse voices on our curriculum? And I say, well, yeah, I mean, we've been having this conversation for years and years and years, but I don't have the power to make that happen unless there's student demand. And it's actually incredible seeing what what power student voices now have in order to influence change that hasn't really happened in my department for many, many years. So please, 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 be as noisy as you can.
This is well timed. So one more question. Yes, down.
So I'm a secondary school teacher, and I've been teaching throughout for about 30 years. I know I don't look that old.
Definitely don't, so.
But I'd be interested to know, because I'm in the schools, but I'm seeing changes. There are changes in the PHSE curriculum. There's definitely some movement towards teaching sex ed, which is much more inclusive. But I'd be interested from almost from an outsider, insider point of view, if you've been into schools, what are the best things that you've seen and the most effective things that you've seen in schools that you've gone to speak at?
So as a secondary teacher, what are the best scenes from us? What you've seen works and what doesn't?
I think one of the best things is when there's actually a student LGBT society. Actually, I think that makes a really big difference. And one school asked me in to speak to them in particular. Actually, one lunchtime, which is really, really nice. And I've done a few school events now where actually the LGBT club has come up to me after the event and had a little chat, and it just feels like those kids seem like they're particularly well supported. There's often a member of staff who's LGBT themselves, who perhaps sort of heads it up, and which is quite a nice thing, I think. And it's great. They have meetings, they talk, they have guest speakers in. They talk about things that affect them, and I think that's probably one of the really nice things. I mean, other than that, I've had a couple of schools approach me they've seen me at one event and they've said, "Will you please come and talk to our students?" Because I just think they need to hear from a gay author. I just think it would help them all just to hear you talk and do the thing that you do, and read a bit of the book and talk about some of the issues and themes in it. And so sometimes something as simple as that, just that bit of visibility there, I think seems to make a difference and seems to go down well with them.
And another thing that I think would be something to consider, I go into schools a lot with various different authors of different ages, for different age groups of children, that is, and for me, it's always really impressive when you see actual physical displays on the wall of Stonewall material or a poster of the film Pride. My sister used to be an English teacher, and she had a poster of Lisa Williamson's The Art of Being Normal on her classroom. And it was amazing what just having that poster led the students to feel accepted. They felt like, oh, the teacher cares enough to put this on the wall. She obviously feels some sort of connection. It might not be herself personally. But I think just some kind of signposting is really important. And it doesn't have to be massively explicit. It can just be a little rainbow flag. It's a safe space to have those conversations. I think that is something that is so easily achievable. Another thing to consider, there's a really great charity called Diversity Role Models, which brings people from the entire queer spectrum into classrooms, and they do kind of very specific, here is my experiences, here's what life was like at school for me, and kind of open up a dialogue. They're more like workshop-based activities. And just following them on Twitter, they're Diversity RM on Twitter, and what they tweet daily, who you see they're taking into classes, just being aware of those conversations is something that's so important as well. The other thing I'd just say is if you have a library, make sure that they've got an LGBT book list, because that's something, again, the librarian may not feel empowered to do that, but if you go in, or if there's no librarian, just having something that you can print out and put on the wall. There are sites online. Book Trust have a list on their website. There's a really great blogger in America called Dahlia Adler who runs this blog called LGBTQ Reads, and their Tumblr has 10,000 followers, she tweeted out today, and she gets daily requests of, oh, I'd like to read a book about a non-binary character in a relationship with a gay boy, where can I find that? And she has such a good knowledge that she can just share that from her own will, and she also keeps a good track of it. In the UK, there are people like Queer YA, which is run by a YA author's wife, so she's also very well situated to know that. So yeah, just finding those places and sharing the information that you can in a small but subtle way that just says we're here and we're here to listen is the most important thing, I think.
Well, I think we'll wrap up now. It's a summer evening. It's a little bit warm in here. We'll open up the doors, and we're all gonna stick around. Simon's gonna sign some books. So if you'd like one signed personally, you can do that, or he'll sign the stock that we have. But we'll be around if you want to ask us questions one-on-one or anything like that. Just before we go, I wanted to thank Catherine Thompson for suggesting this event as part of UCL's Festival of Culture. And to Yuli Leonard for being the event man extraordinaire, I gave the word. And to our excellent panelists, Alex, Simon, and Charlie, thank you so much. And yeah, thank you all for coming. It's been really great. So thank you. Woo!
please buy the shop.